everyone. So we are back with another interview. Today we have Amanda Rodriguez. So thank you so much, Amanda, for being here today.
Thank you so much, Katie, for having me.
Of course. So to get things started, I know you have a lot of exciting stuff that is happening, but can you start by telling us your current role and who you are?
Sure. So my name is Amanda Rodriguez. I am a California, Los Angeles based workers' compensation defense attorney. I am the founding partner of my own law firm, AVR Law. I've been practicing work comp defense for about 12 years now, and I am a California bar certified specialist in workers' compensation.
Awesome. That's great and very exciting for you with your new firm and everything. I'm excited. We'll talk about that a little bit as well here. To start us off, can you walk us through a little bit of your career path and kind of what led you to the workers' comp defense line of work?
Sure. So probably like most people you'll meet in comp, they don't necessarily seek this out. They have someone that they know that's already in this field. But kind of fell into work comp after law school. Like I said, I'm originally from Los Angeles. I did my undergrad at University of Washington in Seattle. I took a year off at that point and moved to Boston and was working there at a small criminal defense law firm. I know I wanted to go to law school, but I wasn't really sure, would want to practice and kind of a field I'd want to go into. And so I took a year off, explored that in Boston, ended up loving the practice of criminal law and decided that that's what I was going to go to law school for. So I came back to Los Angeles. I received my law degree from Loyola Law School and had great 3 years of studying law, of doing internships, everything criminal, both on the prosecution side and on the defense side. And when I graduated, I had every intention of going into that, but unfortunately, the government agencies weren't hiring, and so it was hiring freeze, and it wasn't really sure when they would open that back up. And so I was a recent graduate, needed to get working. And so I had a family friend who was a paralegal at a workers' compensation defense firm. And she said, we're hiring. We've never hired anyone directly out of law school, but, why don't you come and meet my boss? And I said, sure. At that point, I was open to meeting with anybody that would take 10 or 15 minutes to meet with me. So I met him and we hit it off, and he was so great. And he said, well, why don't you give it 3 months, come on, we'll see what you can do in 3 months. I said, sure, as long as you're paying me, I'm there. And so I started, and within those 3 months, I had my first trial. I won. I received what's called a take nothing. And it was a phenomenal experience. And I ended up being at that firm for 5 years, just really learning from people who had been in the industry for a long time, and had a true mentorship in my boss. And so I decided it was about 2 years in when the government agencies started to open up hiring. And at that point, I thought I was pretty settled already in comp and was enjoying it, and decided to stay. And so here we are, like I said, 12 years later, and we've been in comp ever since.
Awesome. That's such an interesting journey that you took, with the criminal defense and kind of how you up in workers' comp defense. It's one of those kind of everything happens for a reason, and now you're
Yes.
exactly where you want to be. So that's great.
Yeah.
Also, you just took this leap with your new firm. Can you talk us about what inspired you to take that leap and open up your new firm, and maybe a bit about kind of what that was like?
Sure. Yeah, I found myself a bit at a crossroads. I have now worked previously at 3 different law firms of varying sizes. So I feel like I've had the experience of knowing what it's like to work at a larger firm, at a mid-sized firm, and then at my last firm, which was boutique. And I moved and started working with them about 6 months after they launched their firm. And so I feel like I've kind of experienced the gamut of different law firms. And so when I found myself at a crossroads and knowing that I needed to make a change for myself, I considered moving to another firm and what that looked like for me. And then I kind of started to think about, what if I went out on my own? And ultimately spent nearly 8 months thinking about this decision and exploring various options. And I just kept being pulled back to wanting to start my own place, and not wanting later in 10 years or 15 years to look back and say, like, what if I had done that, right? What if I had taken that chance, really bet on myself? So I decided now is the time to do it. Now, not only personally, but in my career. And so I took the leap, and I launched my firm in September of 2024. entrepreneur. It has by far been the best decision I've made. I'm the happiest I've been in my career, and it's been so fulfilling, not only professionally, but personally, just has opened me up in ways that I didn't even really realize were possible. So it's been a wonderful experience, and one I highly recommend if people are considering it.
Great. And I also, it's not something that anyone should take lightly as well. And especially the fact that you're a female entrepreneur in this industry, taking this leap, taking this risk. What kind of challenges did you face? And what was the response also from other women in this field area of work that you kind of saw took this lead?
When I started in comp, in 2012, there weren't a lot of women, and certainly women of color in the field. I think the industry has changed a lot in the last decade, and especially in the last probably 5 years. I feel like there's a lot more women in the industry. And now you're seeing a lot more women, in starting their own firms. And so the industry has changed a lot. So I do think that because of that change and the environment that we have today, it didn't seem as daunting to me to do that myself. But certainly I don't think that that was something I would have been comfortable with 10 years ago. Even at that point, I was further into my career. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the women that have kind of come before me, if you will, and have paved that path. When I was making this decision, I reached out to several, people that invited in, and in particular, other female attorneys, and in particular, one who had launched her firm several years ago. And she was such a form of support system for me, and so encouraging in doing this on my own and taking this leap. And so when I launched and announced it, the response has been something that I could not have expected, especially from other females in the industry. I have received messages and text messages and phone calls from other women in the industry, both publicly and privately, that have congratulated me, offered as a resource, source of support. And so that has been one of the most surprising things, and truly one of the most encouraging things as well, was, wow, I really had the industry behind me in this. And that was, again, something that was unexpected, but has really, I think, propelled me in the confidence in doing something like this.
Great. It's so great to hear, that you had the support, especially from other females, other women in the industry, build each other up, not tear each other down. So I love that you had a positive experience with that as well.
Yeah.
And in terms of building kind of your brand and talking about, establishing your place with your firm in this industry, are there any maybe tips that you have, or how have you approached creating kind of this image that you've created?
Yeah. It's even kind of wild to think about a firm needing an image and a brand, right? I feel like, again, in the olden days, it was just you practice law and that's what you do. The idea of self-promotion is something I think that's unique to the social media have now, and LinkedIn, the use of that platform to promote your, so it is still something I'm wrapping my head around, of needing this kind of brand, if you will, for a law firm. But in terms of, the last several years, really, especially after it's opened up after COVID, I feel like I've gone out into the industry, whether that is local industry events, networking events, conferences, across the country, and really tried to meet in the industry, connect, build these relationships. And that has really helped me in going out on my own and feeling really supported by this community. And so I think a lot of that goes to, who I was as a person, and very much being, I know it's a very buzzword now, but authentic in what I present. I'm exactly who I am when you meet me. I always say I don't have much of a poker face, and I think that that's true. And that lends itself both professionally and personally. And so for me, I still, 7 months into the firm. So I think in terms of what the brand is, I think that that's still very much in development, and I'm allowing it to be in that because so much has changed even in just the 7 months. But I think it's about doing good work. Ultimately that comes down to is feeling really confident and prideful in the work that I do for my clients. I couldn't have done this without the loyalty of my clients, and even now new clients that have, joined with since launching. And so for that, that's really the image, if you will, and the brand is just doing really good work and enjoying the people that I work with and wanting them to enjoy working with me back. So, like I said, I think it's evolving, and I'm kind of curious to see what it evolves into.
Yeah, and that's a great point also, brand automatically social media and LinkedIn and all this online presence, but you hit the nail right on the head when you said, going out people talking about, how you work with your clients, and that's as important if not more
Mhm.
important than your social media presence and your brand online, because you're building that connection with people in person, face to face, and you're able to create a more meaningful connection.
Yeah. Well, I think especially when you first go out on your own, I mean, you are the brand, if you will. You're the face of the firm, you're the brand, you're, the sole attorney. You're doing it all in that sense. And so, as when I add, and other attorneys to the firm, then it kind of does evolve a little bit more. And I think, like I said, that's kind of what I'm curious to see what it evolves to. But certainly at its core, it's still very much me in a way. And so I always say to people, when people like, I want them to want to work with me as well. It's not just about the work product, but it's about me as a person. And some of that I think sometimes gets lost in legal practice in general. But in today's world where it's just social media, emailing back and forth. And so I really try to keep that personal touch. And yes, I'm doing work, and a lot of it is transactional in a way, but I love picking up the phone and calling a client and just checking to see how their day is, how's everything going, and still maintaining that really personal touch. And so, at the end of the day, it is me, and that's what I'm promoting, if you will.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's a testament to you as a person as well. Like you said, you're giving someone a call, checking in with them. That's just showing how great of a person you are as well. And those are the kind of people that everyone wants to work with, especially in this industry. So I love that you touched on that, and that's definitely important.
Yeah, I agree.
And final question I wanted to ask you, from not only a legal professional perspective, but also incoming insurance professionals into this field, is there any advice that you would give, someone looking at this industry as someone who, you did start out wanting to go here, but now you are here and have had this experience? Can you talk a little bit about anything that you would tell someone that's in that new position?
Yeah, a lot of it is just, especially early on in your career, is really taking every opportunity that comes your way that allows you to explore different areas of the industry that you're in, maybe take on different roles, build different skill sets. And doing all of that really early on, taking, the slowly grow to learn slowly to, like I said, to build that skill set. I think oftentimes, and maybe with this younger generation, there's a tendency to want to advance really quickly, to want that promotion really quickly, to want that pay raise really quickly. And I feel like what's lost in that is the slow growth, the really intentional growth that you can have, and the exploration as well. Do something here, then go next over here and do something else. And it's not to say bouncing around from company to company, but rather in whatever that it is that you're doing, really taking the time to learn it well, and to explore, so that you can figure out what it is that you're actually passionate about. There's so much in insurance, and there's so much in this industry that I didn't even know existed until been into my own practice. And I'm just a tiny little niche market, right? Work comp is small when you look at the grand scheme of insurance and risk. And so there's so much that you can do. And so I feel like be open to exploration, be open to, taking a side step, if you will, in your career, and not always just chasing that quick promotion or that quick advancement. Because I do think that there's something that's lost in that. I think for me too, when I look back at my career, I think about the mentors that I've had, and there's two key people I can think of who have really made a big difference, specifically in what I'm doing in work comp, but have really set me up for success, and showing, different ways of doing things, being a support system. And when I launched my firm and I made it public, I texted, my first boss, who served as a mentor, for really laid this foundation for me. And I said to him, like, I wanted to show you this, be one of the first people to know, because a lot of this is because you gave me a shot and pushed me and taught me. And so looking back and thinking about that level of mentorship, so finding someone in the industry who's willing to take you under their wing and can really spend quality time, mentoring you, so invaluable. So I try to look for opportunities myself now to do that. For those coming into the industry, because I just feel like it can be really invaluable in your career.
Yeah, and it is one of those kind of surrounding yourself with good people, knowledgeable people, people with a lot of experience or even new ones that are looking to kind of make impact in the industry. It's all about, surrounding people that also kind of have the same drive and work ethic you do. And I think that's so important as well, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's so excited to be in something new and to try something new. I feel like even being, more than a decade into it now, launching the firm, there's so much I'm still learning, and really exciting. And so I think, forever seeking the growth and challenges and knowledge in your career is what keeps you stimulated and engaged. And that can be such an important part of someone's, growth and career path.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the topic, female entrepreneur, impact on industry. And it's been really great having you on to talk about this stuff. So I really appreciate your time and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for reaching out. This has been so great getting to know you and to have this conversation. And it's an important one to have. Like I said, the industry is really changing and evolving, and it's super exciting to see the impact that especially women can have. So thank you.
Thank you.